Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Life Stories. My name is Trent, and I hope you're all doing awesome as always. Today, we got some more stories from, drumroll please, Reddit / idontworkherelady. You probably could have expected it. Without further ado though, let's get started. Our first story is titled, I do work here, but I think you're confused about where you are. So, I actually posted this on another sub ages ago, but thought of it again when reading some other stories here. It might not exactly fit, as it's a different type of story, but was definitely interesting. This was many years ago, but it's fairly burned in my brain, as I've told the story many times. I worked in a gas station as a teenager for 2 years. I was pretty shy back then, and worked with mostly mid-20s guys who were hilarious and great to work with. I loved that job, but obviously, dealing with the public, you're gonna have some weird and annoying stories, especially since people complain at you for the price of gas. FYI, the 18-year-old girl at the till normally doesn't control the price of petrol. Please stop complaining to her about how expensive it is. It was just a small enough station with a decent shop and an automatic coffee machine just by the door that actually made pretty good cappuccinos. Normally, there would be at least 2 people working behind the counter. We each got a 15-minute break during long shifts, but if it got busy, you could ring a bell to let them know you needed help. One day, I was working with one of the lads. He was hilarious. While I was always trying to be extra polite to aggravated customers, this guy did not care. He took no crap. He had worked there too long. He was also built like a tank, so his attitude was rarely met with much retaliation. He was taking his break in the back, and this older woman, who must have been in her 60s, walked in. Hello, I would like a coffee. Oh, yeah, we have a machine just over there that serves lots of types of coffee. Just press the button for whatever you'd like. I smile. The old woman looks at the machine I gestured at, and looks back to me and scoffs. Ugh, if I wanted to make my own coffee, I could do that at home. I stare. Oh, well, I'm sorry, but that's the coffee maker we have. It's actually quite nice though, but there aren't really any coffee shops nearby. More silence, and more staring. So, are you going to make me a coffee? Me, now confused. Oh, well, I'm not supposed to leave the register. I have to... The old woman cuts me off. This is ridiculous. I'm a paying customer and you won't serve me? This is a disgrace. Bear in mind, there's nowhere to sit. It's a to-go coffee machine. I was just beyond confused at this point. She storms over to the machine and presses one of the buttons for a coffee. Since I'm the one doing your job, there's no way I'm paying you for this. I'll take my coffee and go. And I'll be telling people about the terrible service here. Now, I don't know, but Tank Bro had wandered out from the back and had been listening. He quietly walked between her and the door while the coffee was pouring and folded his muscly arms, looking like a nightclub bouncer. The old woman turns to walk out with the coffee cup. Sorry, where the hell do you think you are? I'm not paying to make my own coffee. You're in a petrol station. We're not a freaking restaurant. Pay for the coffee and get out. I'm not paying. Then hand it over. She reluctantly hands him the coffee, which he takes a swig from straight away and smiles. She storms out. Tank Bro turns to me. F this job. That was one of my favorite work days. Now, if the woman came in with that expectation, it only stands to reason that her tirade might have worked somewhere else. Maybe I'll try that. I'll walk into a 7-Eleven and be like, hi, I'd like a double ice cap frappuccino caramel no foam whipped latte, please. I'm sure they'd love it. Moving along, our next story is titled, Mistaken for the tour guide at my own bachelorette dinner. Obligatory. I'm on mobile. English isn't my first language, but it's a close second. I speak it fluently enough, so please let me know if I made any errors. My hubby and I were looking at wedding photos and were reminded of this, a wholesome I don't work here lady. Some background. I recently got married to my dear husband last January, before Corona exploded. My husband and I work in Japan, but we're both expats, so we kept our wedding guest list short and limited to our immediate family and close friends, because our families would have to fly here just to attend. It's a big ask. My husband and I are also very introverted. We don't drink, we're not overly fond of parties, and we're both very close to our immediate families. So, we thought, instead of having a bachelor or bachelorette party, why not host a dinner for our respective families? We both agreed, and our families liked that idea too. They wanted to spend time with us on the last night before we were officially married. He and his family went to another restaurant, and me and mine to another. My family is composed of my parents, my brothers, and my siblings, my aunts, and my uncles. On to the scene. My family and I went to this Chinese restaurant at the hotel we were staying at. My family loves Chinese food, so we thought it would be a great choice. We had a whole room reserved for our table, so we had some privacy. Because we were in a room, we had one head waitress who was the liaison between our party and the waitstaff. She spoke Japanese, and I could also speak Japanese, but my family could not. So I sat at the end of the long table so it would be easier to talk to the staff, because I did a lot of translating back and forth between my family and her. If she asked a question, I would translate for my family and relay the answers to her in Japanese. If my family had a question, it was the same deal. When the third dish was served, she came to ask me a question about the fourth dish. Our cast: me, W, head waitress, and Bro, my brother. Should we serve the fourth dish individually, or should we let everyone decide how much to put on their plate? Individually, please. Thank you, I said. Okay. She made a note in her order tablet. By the way, this party is for the wedding tomorrow, right? Yeah, we're all really excited. Everyone flew in from another country, and it's been stressful, but it's finally tomorrow. The waitress gestures to my brother and sister-in-law, who were coincidentally sitting at the center of the long table. Are they the lucky couple? They look so good together. I'm the bride-to-be, I said. She was quiet for a full 20 seconds, and I felt so bad for her, so I laughed it off. But I agree, they do look good together. They've been married for a good 4 years already. She sighed, hopefully in relief. I'm sorry, I thought you were the tour guide. It's okay, don't worry about it, I said. Then she excused herself to take care of the fourth dish. My brother turns to me. What was that about? Is there a problem? She thought you and your wife were the ones getting married tomorrow. Oh, you probably looked like the tour guide for our group. Yeah, that's what she said. Did I really look like the tour guide? I mean, everybody's paired off, you're the only one without a partner, and you're the only one who can speak Japanese. You've been talking to her about everyone's orders and basically running around. I have. We told our family that conversation, and everyone had a good laugh. I made sure I went to talk to the head waitress afterwards to make sure she was all right. She was. I also made sure I talked to the manager to let him know that his staff was exemplary. We don't give tips in Japan, but I would have tipped her so much if I could. Thanks for reading my story. You all know I love me a good wholesome story every once in a while, and now that can only mean we go from wholesome to nightmarish. The cycle continues. Will it? Let's find out in our next story. A waiter doesn't know who works with him. Well, this happened to me 1 year ago, and it wasn't with a Karen, but the confusion was there. First of all, I would like to apologize for any spelling mistakes. English is not my first language. Our cast, me, is me, and confused employee is CE. Well, this happened during the festivities in my city. Normally, when it's daytime, the streets belong to adults, and at night to the youngest, all with the purpose of drinking alcohol. My mother does not like to party, but we had to run some errands. At one point, we needed to change a large bill for smaller ones, so I went to a bar for change. The uniform there is a red polo shirt, and surprise, I had one. I have to say that it was 15 years ago, but I looked 18-20 because I had a finished beard. I left the bar and I came across CE, and it went like this. CE screaming, "Where have you placed the tray?" What tray? I suppose that each waiter has a tray to carry the glasses more comfortably. The tray! Where have you put it? I think you've been confused. CE went from being angry to confused, and then his face turned red with embarrassment. The manager saw everything from the inside, and my mother to the other side on the street, and they were both laughing. It's not a great story, but I wanted to share it. Hey, it may not sound like the best story, but in cases like these, where the person has enough self-awareness to realize that they're screaming like a psycho-crazy person, I think that's a net win. And with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time for today's episode. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Life Stories, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay safe and clean during these crazy times. My name is Trent, and you know how this goes. I hope to see you guys soon.